Today we start another project. Yes, we're getting good at these now. We got our stride, we know what we're doing, and then somebody sends us this. I have never taken apart an auto world before. Green light was a challenge. Let's see what this one's going to be. They just came out, I mean, this is a wonderful Challenger casting. They just came out with a General Lee type, had 10 on the door with the American flag on top. So by now you ought to be guessing exactly what we're going to be doing this. Yep, it's going to be a newer type General Lee. Wheels are going to stay. Change the paint. Of course it won't be a 10 on the side, it's going to be a 01. But we're going to have a different flag on the top. We don't know exactly yet what we're going to put, but that's what this is going to be. So let's get it apart. As always, a little bit of oil. You have to go slow with castings you've never worked with before, because I just drilled apart a green light, and oh my, what short post that thing in. Put that in there. Interior in there. What in the world? Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Alright, we got her back out of the stripper, and this is what she looks like. We haven't done anything to her. But for any of you that's never done an auto world before, they combine, on this particular car, they combine metal plus plastic. The front splitter is metal. The rear spoiler is plastic, so be aware of that if you're going to do this, because the stripper will melt the spoiler off. It really will. So you have to take something real small like a razor blade or whatnot and stick under there at both posts and very, very gently pry up to get that spoiler off. Because if you don't, it'll melt it. If you do it too hard, you're going to break it because it's really thin plastic. But this is what we have. I'm just going to look it over and see if there's anything I really need to work on. You know, like looking at the door jambs, you can see the citrus strip and paint residue still in there. So I'm just going to take the wire brush and hit all those spots. And, you know, just go over the whole car, basically, with this. And depending on the next step, I may go over it with the 4.0 steel wool if I feel like I need to. If I don't feel like I need to, then we'll move on to the sanding part. But once I'm satisfied with it, I'm going to hit it with some 80 grit to knock down any rough spots or anything like that. And then I'll finish it off with 320. I have found that 320, if I'm not going to be spectral flaming a paint job, it roughs up the body good enough for the primer to really get a good bite to. And, you know, because if you're not careful, if you don't do it, whenever you put primer on it, put tape on it, or even barely bump it, it can scuff it up. So I have found 320 works really good, and the primer and the sealer covers it very well. You never see it, never know it was there. So I've gotten to where I just stopped with 320. But once we're satisfied with that, we're going to mix up the sealer. Alright, time to prime some of this stuff up. So what we're going to be using today is white Autoborn sealer, and the reason we're using white, it says reduce 10%. White sealer. The reason we're going to be using white is because we want the colors to pop. We're going to be using an orange, we're going to be using a blue, so in a light blue, not a dark blue. So we want these colors to pop. If we put them over gray, that would make the colors look a little bit duller, a little bit flatter, And if we put them over black, that's going to make them look even that much more darker. And one of these days I'm going to show you side-by-side comparison on a white spoon, on a gray spoon, and on a black spoon. But for today, we're just going to use the white auto-born sealer, like I said, because we're using light colors for the paint. I already shook this up pretty good. I don't think we'll need any more than that after I add the sealer to it, the reducer to it. That should be plenty. We got everything set up outside, so now we're going to add the paint, or sealer rather, and that should be enough to do 10 cars. But that's okay. That is okay. Put the cap on it because I'm going to be doing all kind of crazy stuff. Now I always start off by doing my bases first. The reason I do that is if the paint's not coming out right, or inconsistent, too watery, or not spraying right, or whatever, it's easier for me to clean this, restrip it, whatever, than to do a whole body. So I always start with that first. And this is the Auto World body, the Challenger, so we're going to hit it first. Hit it from all different angles so we get it coated good. And then we'll let that sit there and dry. I'll actually move it over to the side into the Auto World hood. You see, there's the hood. Put a couple light coats on there, let that set for a few minutes and come back to it. Now let's hit the body. Got it all clean, degreased, scuffed up the way I want it and everything. So all we're going to do is just, like always, even with painting, just a few light coats just to give it something to stick to, and then we can come back with a wet coat or two and put on top of that. It's just all about building layers. You know, you don't sit there and start off with your biggest blocks for the foundation. You start small and then you work your way up, and it just makes for a better paint job in the end. But that's what we're doing here. I'm just going to hit it with a few light coats, and this stuff dries really quick, so I'm just going to cover it up and come back in a minute and hit it with the wet coat. Alright, let's do some final assembly on this bad boy. Shall we? Let's see, which one is which? This is the green light one, and this is the auto world one. I've been calling it Johnny Lightning all this time. It's actually a green light. That's okay, doesn't matter. So generally, right? Looks really good, don't it? With that said, there's the base. I always try to do my bases the same color as the body. And there's that one. I know it's not the correct wheels, but it doesn't matter because this isn't a true replica of a General Lee. So with that being stated, let's get the body over here and show you what we got. Try to keep my gritty fingers off of it. And there it is. Done a little bit of detailing on it. Got the American flag on top, got the cross flags on the back, painted the air box and stuff on it. Got the Confederate flag on the front, detailed the grill best I could, headlights, tail lights, got the General Lee tag on the back. So before we get to that, we have to put the windshield in it and get her ready for final reveal. Alright, got the glass back in it, got the dash snap back in, it just snaps over those two posts, and then we have to put the hood retainer back in, and then this interior will be done. Goes in something like this. Snap that back down and glue it down because I had to drill that out to get the hood off. You know, I gotta paint the hood, so I had to strip the hood and all that, and with all this plastic and stuff in here, you can't exactly throw it in the stripper and it do its job. So that's the need for the glue and all that stuff. But now all we gotta do is put the interior back in. I left it black for the simple reason that the old General Lee would have tan interior. This being a new General Lee and everything, or a type of General Lee, I didn't see any need in painting the interior tan because, you know, with the modern Challenger and everything, black leather is the way to go. So that's what I did. That's why I left it as is. I think it's going to look really good just like that. So let's get this bad boy back together and I'll show you the finished product. Well, there we go. Looks really good, doesn't it? Before I give you the reveal, I wanted to say I hope that the owner of this car really likes it, because, you know, whenever you do something for somebody else, you put more time and effort and sweat and just overall nervousness of doing these because you want it right. And although this one is not perfect, it's got a few flaws that, you know, I know about because I'm the one that did them and all that good stuff. But I hope the owner of this car really likes it as much as I do, because I really like this car. I plan on making me one. Of course, mine will be different in a couple of ways, but I plan on making me one. I've got the decals for it and everything. But with all that said, I hope the owner of this car really likes it. I really enjoyed building it. Thank you for trusting me to build it. I hope it's up to your expectations and everything. And now, let's see how this bad boy looks.